Hello everyone and welcome to my presentation. I'm excited to share with you my research on election day registration in the US. So let's jump straight in. The United States has historically suffered from low voter turnout, and this is commonly attributed to voter registration laws. Most states require eligible voters to register on the electoral roll 14 to 28 days prior to election day. However, over 20 states now allow voters to register on election day. The aim of this project is to evaluate the impact of election day registration on voter turnout and election outcomes. I propose two hypotheses. Firstly, that election day registration increases voter turnout by reducing barriers to vote, and secondly, that election day registration benefits the Democratic Party because conventional wisdom would suggest that groups who are helped the most by this policy tend to vote blue. As I later found out, conventional wisdom isn't always backed by the facts. To test these hypotheses, I first tried to implement a difference in differences design that compared presidential election outcomes across different states. But the US is a diverse country, and due to countless underlying differences between states, there was no way to justify the parallel trends assumption. Parallel trends means that without intervention, the difference in outcome between the treatment and control groups would be constant over time. This assumption is crucial because it allows us to establish a counterfactual and therefore measure a treatment effect. So where do we go to from here? Well, a unique and obscure law in the northeastern state of Rhode Island provides us with an opportunity to circumvent this issue. In 1990, Rhode Island introduced election day registration, but only for presidential elections. Conveniently, until 1992, every presidential election in Rhode Island coincided with a gubernatorial election, which is the election for the office of state governor and does not allow election day registration. I decided to focus my analysis on Rhode Island and assign presidential election results as the treatment group and gubernatorial election results as the control. The parallel trends assumption is plausible under this setting because now we're operating within a single state. But before I get into that, let me first share preliminary findings from my CrossState analysis. The outcome variable is the two-party Democrat vote share at presidential elections between 1976 and 2020. Here, all 50 states are divided into either the treatment group or the control group. I run 4 regressions. The first is a simple OLS, while the second introduces an interaction term between the year and treatment group. We introduce fixed effects in the third regression, and finally add covariates to our analysis in the fourth regression. I am conscious of time, so to be brief, these results quantitatively verify that neither the levels nor the trends in outcome variable are parallel across the groups. However, it is interesting to note that the coefficient for EDR in that top row is negative in all 4 cases, suggesting that election day registration may reduce the Democrat vote share, contrary to my hypothesis. Now, let's move to the Rhode Island the Rhode Island case study, which is the focus of this project. I run 2 regressions, one to estimate the effect of election day registration on total voter turnout, and another to estimate the effect on the Democrat vote share. Both regressions utilize fixed effects. Presidential I and intervention T are dummy variables that simply indicate the type of the election and whether the election occurred after the intervention was passed in 1990. I find that the policy had a positive effect on voter turnout at the 1992 presidential election in Rhode Island. To be precise, the turnout was 6% higher than it would have been under the counterfactual, which is represented by the dotted blue line. It also looks like this policy had a negative effect on the Democrat vote share at the same election, again refuting my hypothesis that the policy helps the Democrat Party. However, this result was not statistically significant. To conclude, I found evidence supporting the positive effect of election day registration on voter turnout in Rhode Island. The impact on election outcomes is inconclusive, although I obtained some evidence to suggest that maybe this policy helps the Republican Party. I was also relieved to find a 2012 study on Wisconsin that corroborates with my findings. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. I'd like to take this opportunity to extend my deepest gratitude to the Research in Colour team, as well as my mentor, Dr. Tristan Reed, for what has been an invaluable learning experience.